Okay, so now that we know the company direction, the rules to play by, the tools we're using to do it, let's dive into how to actually do your job by cleaning an interior. So when it comes to interiors, they're actually pretty fluid. Now, exteriors are gonna be way more systematic. They're gonna be very cut and dry. It's usually the same steps every single time. For an interior, each one is different, and it's impossible to put an exact step-by-step instruction, but here's as close as it can possibly get. Now, I like to break these into groups of 3. Again, while this all looks pretty on paper, you may need to adjust on the fly based on the vehicle's conditions. When able, you always want to start with the interior of the vehicle first. This is because if you do the outside and then blow out the interior, it gets all over the clean car and you'll just have to redo everything you just did. It's really annoying. So always start with interior first if there's a bay space and if you're able. So the first thing we're going to do is remove all the personal items from the vehicle. This is also when you can grab the floor mats and dispose of any trash that they may have. Up next, we're gonna use the air cannon to blow out the vehicle. Now, the main purpose here is to just agitate some of the dog hair, the dust and debris that's remaining in the vehicle, and just get it out of the vehicle. And don't spend too much time here. We're not really looking for perfection, but this will help cut down your vacuuming time, which is actually step number 3, and that's gonna be the bulk vacuum. And just like the name suggests, the goal is to get the bulk of the stuff that's in the car. This is also when you can use that cylinder drill brush for the tight areas, or if the carpet's being really stubborn with dog hair, you can use that drill brush to agitate it some more. And pro tip here, and you must do this, always move the seat forward and up as high as you can. It'll reveal a ton of stuff that you would have otherwise missed, and the customers do look for this, so just make sure you vacuum it all up. And again, your goal is to get 90% of the materials in the carpet, and it's okay if there's a little bit left over. We'll catch it later in the detail. Next up is steaming, and we're going to be using this in a combination with the vacuum to clean the cup holders, door jambs, etc. So as you can see, I take the steamer to the cup holder and hold the vacuum above it. That's capturing all that steam. Now, while this may look a little silly, this is going to make a night and day difference for some of the trim work, some of those hard cracks and crevices, but you do have to be careful with electronics. But for the most part, using the vacuum, following right behind it, keeps it pretty clean and it looks phenomenal. Now, there's really 2 types of seats. There's obviously going to be leather and cloth, but leather by far is going to be the easiest one to clean. You just take a little bit of Car Pro Inside, douse the surface, and you agitate it with that horsehair brush and just wipe it away. And it's really just that simple. Now, you're going to want to watch for those little perforated holes in the leather. Those can get really messy. And you just want to make sure that you're getting full coverage all the way around the seat itself. Okay, and cloth seats look something like this. So you're going to start with Dawn dish soap and the steamer. You're going to do Dawn dish soap and the drill brush. And then from there, you're going to use the extractor and a towel. So to start, you soak the seat with the Dawn dish soap and agitate with that steamer and triangle brush. From there, you're going to soak the seat again and then proceed to agitate it with that cylinder drill brush. And then you're going to use the extractor in the wet vac portion, doing a couple passes wet and then a couple passes dry. From there, you're going to put a towel on it and just kind of agitate the surface, trying to get as much up as you can. And then make sure you leave the towel there to let the water evaporate up into the towel. Now, not every cloth seat needs to be extracted. Sometimes you can see seats like this where they're not too bad, and you can get away with just a quick steam with that triangle attachment. And I usually like to wipe these down with the towel afterwards too. But again, not every single seat's gonna need you to pull out the extractor and soak it down. Sometimes just steaming is enough. After the seats are done, we now move into what's called insiding. And that's essentially where you're taking the horsehair brush and the inside and painting all the plastic surfaces of the vehicle. Now, this is when you're gonna really wanna focus in on some of those hard to reach areas, such as the cup holder and the dash, to make sure that those are all good to go. But again, you're covering every piece of plastic. This is definitely going to be one of the most time-consuming parts of the detail that you do. So just make sure you budget for it. Up next is floor mats. And for carpet floor mats, I like to hit it with the steamer with the triangle attachment first. And then I'm gonna go ahead and follow through with the vacuum, making sure I'm getting every speck that I can. And the last step from there is taking the orange dog hair brush and applying stripes up and down to create that awesome line pattern that makes it look super clean. Okay, so for rubber floor mats, you're gonna wanna hit them with the pressure washer and use that Dawn dish soap and the drill brush to agitate the rubber floor mats. And then once they're agitated, you just wanna go ahead and rinse them off and then bring them inside where you'll apply tire shine to them and just wipe them down, giving you the finished product look. Okay, so up next is glass, and glass is going to be the #1 thing that customers complain about, and it's super, super important. If you take away anything from this training, listen to me in my soul that glass is so, so important. I've seen it time and time again, but here's how you get it perfect. So you take your invisible glass, and you take 2 blue diamond microfiber towels. Make sure they're as clean as possible. If they're dirty, it's no good. Sometimes you have to use 2 sets per the vehicle, just depends how big it is. But to start, you're gonna have your wet towel and your dry towel. And with the windows, you're gonna want the key in the vehicle. That way you can move the window up and down so you can get these edges here, right? Pretty self-explanatory. So we're gonna take our invisible glass, we're gonna go on our towel, not onto the window, but onto the towel. And since this is the first window, I'm gonna soak it up pretty good. The more product, the better, but okay. So there we go. And then you're gonna wanna cross your patterns, right? So you're gonna wanna paint the window. So I like to do the edges, go through, make sure you're hitting all those corners. And you wanna be as quick as you can with glass. You wanna make sure you're getting that top edge, okay? And then place this back on your lap, right? Then you take your dry one, as quick as can be. You wanna get on there. You wanna get that edge, roll your window back up, and then make sure you're just following through in that cross pattern, making sure you're covering everything. And then the last part that gets overlooked a lot is you just wanna look. You just wanna inspect it from all angles. Try to look at the ceiling lights, try to find everything you can to see if there's a streak. But most of the time, if you do it like this, it's gonna be perfect. Okay, now the windshield, it's the same exact process, but it is just so much more important because this is where the customers are actually looking. The first thing they see when that garage door opens and they drive away is how good you did in this windshield. So again, same exact process. We're gonna go ahead and wet our towel, not the glass. And for the windshield, I like to split it in half. So I'm gonna do this side first. Again, same thing, just going through. And then immediately into your dry towel. Okay, so with glass, especially with the windshield, you always want to be in the mindset of just doing it twice. Sometimes plastics like to fume and they'll put fumes all over the glass and it makes it look all foggy and hazy. Sometimes cleaning it once isn't enough. So just always be prepared and give yourself enough time to do it twice. So again, I'm going to go back over and just repeat the exact same process. And just to really stress how important the windshield is, whenever you're done doing your windshield, I like to just come in front of the vehicle and just look at it from all angles that I can. I'm gonna try to scan, look from different points of the lighting, again, because the customers will see this and it would be really, really bad day if there's any sort of streaks. So again, check it from all angles. You'll see it from the outside. If something looks amiss, something in the corners, maybe down near where it's hard to reach, that's where your mistakes are gonna be. So just always double check that windshield. If the windshield is dirty, the customer automatically puts it in their mind that other things were missed. And again, with that being the first thing they see, they're gonna think that the whole detail is messed up just because you had one smidge on that windshield. So again, hammering that home is gonna make you super successful with your detailing. So when you're doing your glass, this is also the time where you wanna do the screens and any of the shiny black interior pieces. So again, you just wanna be real light. You don't, usually just a damp towel is okay. You don't have to spray on it for this. You just go over it. And with the same exact process, take your little dry towel. Also take this opportunity to hit up the mirrors. So you got these guys and these guys. And don't forget that sunroof. And the last step is the final vacuum. And for this, you're gonna wanna use that dust brush with the vacuum to just kind of suck in any remaining dust or debris that you may have left behind. Okay, bonus tip time. This is something I like to do to really spice up the interiors and makes them look great. So you take your tire shine. It's also a plastic dressing, so you don't have to tell the customer you're putting tire shine all over their interior, but it is a plastic dressing, goes on the floor mats. But what I like to do is just spray a little bit on your towel and go onto these plastic parts of the door jamb, right? And you're just gonna try to make it blend all together all nice and nice. And again, it's a minor thing, but I promise it makes a big difference at the end of the day. And that'll just make it look fresh. That's the first thing they see. It's beautiful. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if it is just an interior only, we do clean the door jambs for those. So again, you just take your door jamb juice, Johnson & Johnson baby soap, spray the door jambs, and wipe them down. And there you have it. So that's how you detail an interior. Now, when it comes to a full detail, generally speaking, we want full details to be 5 hours or less. And we like to dedicate 3 hours of that time to the interior, 1 hour of that time to the exterior, and then an hour for touch-ups wherever it's needed on the vehicle. And to help you keep track of your time, each time we start a detail, somewhere in your bay will be a countdown clock to show you how much time you have left. Now listen up, because this is extremely, extremely important. You will be assigned 2 cars a day. Some cars will take you 90 minutes, others may take the full 5 hours. It really just all depends. Your ability to get off early does actually depend on you. Now that you know how to do an interior, let's hop into how to do an exterior.